What is up, you guys? Today, we're going to generalize linear regression in order to handle polynomials and hence polynomial regression. Polynomial regression provides great defined relations between independent and dependent variables. Polynomial regression finds application in a wide range of domains. For example, it is used to study isotopes of the sediments as well as generation of any synthesis. It is also utilized to study the rise of various diseases within a given population. Microsoft Excel also uses polynomial regression when fitting a trend line to data points found on a scatter plot. Now, what if your data is way more complex than just a straight line? What if there's multiple trends observed in your data? So looking into the future in a linear way seems to be absurd, hence an underfit. What you see over here is data generated from a third-degree polynomial. So we need to fit at least a polynomial of the same degree so that we're good to go. Now, one shouldn't choose an extremely large degree as the estimated curve might pass through all data points, which, upon a first impression might seem like a good thing, but trust me, all you're doing is overfitting the data, and that's really bad practice. Doing a bit of math here, we collect all the data points into two vectors, the h and the y. The h is the hypothesis function that is seen through the model parameter theta, and the instances feature vector. Say I've got m instances and hence their corresponding m targets, y1 down to ym. Epsilon is background noise that pushes away the data points from ideally lying on the h-curve. Well, since we're doing polynomial regression, then the hypothesis function should assume a polynomial structure of a given degree n. The model parameter theta plays the role of the coefficients of this polynomial, and the instance vector produces or generates the different powers of that polynomial. Well, my h vector could be easily decomposed into a matrix vector multiplication term as follows. The matrix contains all powers of x in its columns and all different instances in its rows. And so we should implicitly understand that the different powers could be seen as features of x. The vector appearing is the model parameter vector that has to be estimated. This, to me, looks like a linear regression model, right? We know y and x, and we're trying to estimate theta using the linear model y equal x theta plus epsilon. Now, using what we learned from the previous animated lecture with my buddy Broid, we can estimate theta using least squares, and hence the best theta that minimizes the MSE cost is x transpose x inverse multiplied by x transpose y. As you can see, we did a pretty good job in estimating the actual h curve This is good news. We have a closed form equation that works. However, with increasing complexity of the model, or in other words, with increasing polynomial degree of h, the matrix inverse of x transpose x requires a lot of computations and hence becomes really heavy, which might not be good in online applications. So our good old gradient descent could come in hand here. Say you initialize your theta as a straight line as such. Then a careful choice of eta could lead you towards the true h polynomial curve as you see. You might even choose another straight line to start with and still converge. In terms of theta, this means that its first two entries are the only non-zero ones. You could also start quadratically as such. That is, the first three terms of theta are non-zero. Now, a careless choice of theta that is too large could leave you diverging as you see. Perfect. Now you know how to estimate a curve using polynomial regression. But the question is, how do you predict? Well, it suffices to evaluate new coming x vectors at the polynomial curve to obtain their corresponding estimated target values, y hat, as you see using those blue circles that are the points with different values of x. And that's it.